you might see yourself as, no, I've never taught, I can't teach. Everybody starts somewhere, but it's a lot like you would be training somebody in your field. Now you're just training a student. It's very different. And then if you're not sure if that's something for you, we have like a mentorship program. Then that allows you the opportunity to come and mentor our students and to kind of get to know our facilities, know our programs, know our students, and see if maybe being an adjunct could be something for you.
So, are you a guest speaker? When we talk about ways that we can contribute to our local school, many of us think, well, maybe I don't have the technical conversation to have. I'm in sales, or maybe I am actually in distribution, or maybe I'm just in parts delivery, but I love what I'm doing. Are you an actual contributor to the conversation? You absolutely are. We're actually looking for a variety of different conversations for guest speakers in our schools so that our students have the opportunity to see the wide variety of careers that we can choose. Yes, we're going to learn fundamentals. Yes, we're going to learn how to work on things. But what other things can we learn while we're in school? Well, we teach a lot of aspects of our industry.
You never know when you get started in this industry. I started out in a trade school to start my own business, and then wound up working for a wholesaler as a counter salesman, moved into outside sales, then became a general manager, and eventually moved on to be a co-owner of another wholesale supply house. And it was those relationships that started back then that got me now.
Well, hello everyone. Thank you for joining us once again on Did You Know, the ESCO HVAC show. I got a little excited and was changing my scenes and it cut off the intro, so I'll make sure to plug that whole thing once we get back to there. We're grateful that you are all joining us today. We're going to be doing a recap on a conversation that we had down at the Daikin factory here about a month or so ago. And I want to introduce you to our special guest today. So we have Jeff Bledsoe, Contractor Development Manager from Daikin Comfort. How are you doing, sir?
Doing well. Thanks for inviting me today, and welcome everybody.
Absolutely. And for the first time on our show, we're very grateful to have Dr. Cruz Casiano. How are you doing today?
Good. Hi, everyone. I'm excited to be here with you all.
We always have a good time. We're all professionals, but we love what we're doing, so we have fun in that process, and we all communicate well together. So I thought this would be a good conversation for us. For those that have been with us before, you've probably seen Jeff. We've had a lot of conversations about changes in technologies, changes in refrigerants, ways that you can work with schools, and ways that we can build our programs. You probably not spent time learning about Dr. Casiano yet. And so Dr. Casiano is the director of career and applied technologies for LoneStar College in Texas, which I got to visit while I was down in Texas as well. Fantastic facility. So let's talk a little bit about a variety of different aspects from our industry that gives us opportunities for change. Now, change is not always easy. Sometimes it can be challenging, but it can also be a very rewarding opportunity. And that's really what this conversation is about getting involved with this new directive, this new energy that is in our industry that I keep referring to as like the HVAC revolution. It's kind of become mainstream. I mean, Cruz, your own son has now even looked at the program going, wow, HVAC? I didn't know much about that in the past. And now we're starting to really look at it a little bit differently. So before we get into that aspect, can you tell us a little bit about what sparked his interest in the trades, besides having an awesome mom in the industry?
No, one of those things where I can talk to students, the community, and parents, and every, educational and industry partners, but your own kid's not going to listen to you.
No.
But this back wall, he came in, saw this back wall, and he's like, this is the future. Yeah. I know I will always have a job. And so he was excited. And that's what actually this lab is what got him started into wanting to get the education and training here at LoneStar. And now he's in the field.
Man, yeah, that's fantastic. I've not been able to be that successful in my own. Jeff, though, you have. You've got a son that's decided that the trades is the way to go as well.
Absolutely, and he thoroughly enjoys it, and he picks it up faster than I ever did. His retention on troubleshooting and things with the technology just amaze me. But when he was younger, I probably had him programming my VCR too. So
Right.
that's the old school way of doing things. But yeah, he is thoroughly enjoying it and looking to make a real long standing career out of it.
Yeah, and that's one of the things that we're going to talk about today as well, is the variety of different career opportunities that we have in the trades. And I want us to be thinking a little bit outside of the box on what trades education looks like. Because at the heart of education, it's about giving back to others. That's really, I can probably speak for all three of us. That's why we do what we do.
Mhm.
We love giving back to people. It's part of having a servant heart, is being an educator, I would say.
I would agree with that, Clifton, and the giving back, because the fact is, in the HVAC field, whether it's heating or cooling, no matter what part of the country, and there is no recession in it.
That's
It
exactly
is a recession-proof industry, and you literally are serving customers. Because I can't imagine living without my AC in the middle of August here in Orlando, Florida. So it's got to be repaired.
right.
So
Absolutely.
Well, as you know, we got hit with Hurricane Beryl, which is natural disasters happens, nationwide. And so for
Mhm.
us to be without, HVAC for about 2 or 3 weeks, they become critical professionals in the field that we need, and we need to make sure they get educated and trained aligned with our industry needs.
That's right. Absolutely. I just got a comment that came through from the office. They said that it is not playing on LinkedIn. I'm going to double check my connections. Oh, it looks like it's playing through.
yeah, I just got a message about that too.
Okay. All right. Okay, so I'm going to keep on rolling. I'll take a look at that. Once we get to a point where I can step over and see what's going on, I'll kind of work with that for a minute, because I know both of you will have plenty of things we can talk about as we dive a little bit deeper into this conversation. Let's start out with the importance of program advisory councils. That was one of the reasons that we gathered. I've got a variety of videos that I'll be sharing on those conversations, because in the past, we've typically looked at our contractors as being our primary focus for our PAC meetings. And that's really not always the case. When we start thinking about our industry from a broader aspect, we really have a variety of different professionals within the industry that should be participating in our advisory council meetings. And so that's a topic we can dive a little bit deeper into as we get into the conversation. The one that I really would like for us to talk about, because we will probably have both. We will have schools that are joining us today, and we will have contractors that will be joining us today. And
Mhm.
so when we start talking about education in the industry, we have a lot of opportunity to partner with our local contractors for educational outreach and educational training. So, Dr. Casiano, can you talk about ways that Lone Star works with other contractors in the area that might have some of their own training programs as well?
So one of the things that we do is, as you mentioned, with the advisory councils, is that they come and they provide input, and they have a direct influence on the education and training that we're providing, because we want to make sure that when students come out of our programs, they're employable in these fields. And so there's a lot of different opportunities that we have when we work with them. But that's one of the main one of the main components, is that direct influence that they have, where we can listen to their input, and then add that to our curriculum. We could it's supplemental, and that way the students get that education and training that they need.
Exactly. And I know when we start talking about contractor training, I know, Jeff, you work with a lot of contractors on educational outreaches. Can you talk about ways that contractors are starting to be more aware of education and investing more into, participating in programs? Because I know as a manufacturer, you're starting to encourage a lot of your Daikin contractors to participate with their local schools, and I'm sure there's a variety of reasons to that.
Absolutely. Well, the fact that the manufacturer is being part of the PAC meetings and getting involved in the schools, they're able to keep the schools up to date on new code changes and things like that that are affecting the market as a whole. But the local contractors bring a different set of skills to the schools, because as things change in their local counties and city municipalities, they can let the people know what's going on at the schools, so they can address that with the students, so they're not getting blindsided when they get out of school by new stuff that they haven't learned in class. So a lot of the educators that I've encountered across the country are pretty fluid in being able to change things based on what the kids need to know or the students need to know as they leave school.
Sure.
And then the distributors bring a different aspect to it when they get involved in the schools, because they're some of the first ones to see all the new gadgets and stuff that are coming out from the different other manufacturers on the ancillary products in the HVAC field that as manufacturers we may or may not see because we're building the equipment.
Exactly.
So you got to tie everybody together to make it very beneficial to the students, so they come out of there with a well-rounded knowledge on what they need to be successful in the market once they leave school.
Indeed. We must be sending out on all the feeds now. I see a variety of people joining in from different avenues. Tom Leck out there joining us. Thank you, sir.
Good.
And anyone that's participating today, we encourage you to let us know where you're joining in from. If you have any questions along the way, any comments about the topics, we'd love to have some input. I'm going to hop over here because you kind of talked about partnering with equipment manufacturers. So when we start talking about working with equipment manufacturers, a lot of our schools don't realize that there are opportunities to work with the equipment manufacturers to introduce not just the technology and the equipment, but the curriculum into the classroom. So I know when I was down at LoneStar, I seen a lot of manufacturer labels, even on windows. Can you tell us a little bit about ways that LoneStar has worked to make connections with our equipment manufacturers and how that process has worked for you?
I'm actually very proud of the partnerships that we have built here at LoneStar College. And you'd be surprised that a lot of other colleges reach out wanting to know, how do you create that?
Yeah.
But it's honestly, it's reaching out to our distributors. It's reaching out to contractors, reaching out to local businesses, but also global employers. And
Really?
and working with them either through the advisory councils that we have. They do lunch and learns where they come and they talk about their companies, and they provide those opportunities to our students, letting them know what are the different pathways that they can go into when they're done with their program. They also provide equipment, and without that equipment, our students wouldn't be able to gain some of the skills and knowledge that they need to be ready for the workforce when they're done from here.
Absolutely. We get that question quite often from the industry. They go, hey, our schools aren't pumping out the technicians that we need. And we go, are you showing up to give any input on the things that have changed and the things that you do need? Because that you can't just say that we're not producing the technicians that we need. You may not be getting the producing of technicians that you need from your local schools because you haven't had an involvement with your school. You haven't given input on that. You haven't went to the class and taken a look at what technologies are there and to be able to help direct things. Because if we only have a certain type of contractor showing up for PAC meetings, our program is probably going to cater to what that contractor is looking for, because they're going to be supplying most of the jobs for our students as they are leaving these programs. So it's super important to have these connections throughout the industry. And if you're in the industry, to be able to participate, to join these efforts with us.
Trust me, if you want to make some changes in what the schools are producing and the students are turning out, they will gladly welcome you to the table for a conversation.
Absolutely.
They are hungry for conversations with the local contractors, the local distributors, and then globally with the manufacturers, as Cruz mentioned. The fact is, it's sort of like if you don't go vote, don't complain. If you're not participating, don't complain about the students, because they're focused on one thing.
Yeah.
You know me, Clifton. I'm very blunt and honest in my conversations. And if you want a seat at the table, trust me, they'll bring in another chair.
That's exactly right.
Everybody's welcome.
Yes. And for us, I mean, a simple email, a simple phone call. Hey, I'm so-and-so. I'd like to know more about what y'all are doing there. I'm happy to host. We give tours. And then that's where that partnership and collaboration begins. And so it's easy, but it's a two-way street, it is.
It is. It's a true partnership. That's why I wanted us to have this conversation. When I went to Lone Star, I got to visit both Daikin and Lone Star at the same time, not realizing the established partnerships that were already there in place. This picture that I have in the background here was one from a UA hall. That was at the UA 449, where our equipment manufacturer is partnering with our local union halls to be able to talk to residential contractors about the changes in technology that we have, because it is an unprecedented time in our industry as we start moving into a lot of new technologies and efficiency standards and regulations and changes of refrigerant. So now more than ever is it important for the industry to help build these partnerships throughout all of our schools. We kind of mentioned wholesalers a while ago. Many contractors don't realize that we have wholesalers that are starting to provide educational opportunities that I've seen used in the classroom, courses that can be shared, that can be tracked, that can be used in the classroom to be able to teach on certain things, especially from some of our manufacturers of products that we use in the industry. A lot of how to use proper cleaning supplies, how to use proper meters. And so we're starting to see wholesalers putting on a lot more training classes. And so now when we start looking at the source of opportunity for education, we're seeing more educators in the wholesalers. And so as a wholesaler, we actually have a responsibility to work with our local schools. I know here in central Indiana, when I was a distributor educator, I didn't know that I was welcomed into my local programs. It wasn't until I'd moved into the role that I have now that I found out that our programs are actually looking for our local wholesalers to be able to be guest speakers, to be able to talk about equipment. I used to give away a lot of equipment that was going to go to the scrap pile, never installed, may have had some damage to it, that would be absolute perfect training opportunities for my local schools if I knew more about that. So the goal here is to help form these friendships, these bonds, letting our wholesalers know that we are actually looking for you to be involved in our programs in ways that you may have not realized before.
Yes, and as they hold these technical workshops, it provides the opportunity for our faculty to gain that new knowledge, new skills, and that now trickles down to our students.
Exactly.
And so, it's a learning cycle for everyone, but it does take that collaboration for anything to move forward.
Absolutely.
And Clifton, I think we are close to having 200 wholesalers that have equipment in there and teach technical training across the country.
Really?
Yes.
Wow.
Okay. So we're starting to really feel that growth. I hope everyone in our community feels that, that we are all trying to work together to get through these. I wouldn't call them obstacles. I would just call them change. We're in a period of time where as an industry, we're all changing in some form or another, whether I'm a technician, I'm a contractor, I'm a distributor, I'm a manufacturer, I'm an educator, I'm a director. We have a lot of things happening in our entire community of HVAC and refrigeration. And the way that we will get forward together is by becoming a larger community together, sharing the resources, sharing the knowledge. And I know, Jeff, as a manufacturer, you have been spending time working with our schools for not just like equipment, but curriculum and ways that we can introduce the technology into the classrooms. Can we talk about
Absolutely. We give all the educators that are affiliated with us access to Daikin University. So they have access for recorded webinars, online on demand training, and if they become an authorized Daikin instructor, they get our full curriculum. So they can teach on ductless, they can teach on our side discharge units, they can even teach on VRV, the commercial stuff, and package units. They have access to all of that, and it's free to them and their students. So we want the education to reach new levels out there because of that.
Okay, so all of you educators out there, I'm encouraging all of you to listen to these pleas from the industry. Listen to our distributors, listen to our manufacturers, listen to our schools that are saying, hey, if we all work together, we'll absolutely be able to make this transition happen. And so let's make sure that you're going to be checking out Daikin Comfort. You're going to get connected with ways that you can become a better educator, supplied for more resources for your educational program. So whether you're in a school, whether you are a distributor or a contractor starting your own program, we want to make sure that you're connecting and getting all of the information that you need, especially with the technologies. So, Dr. Casiano, this is a really important one. I know from your aspect, we're talking about ways to make the industry better. A lot of professionals from the industry don't realize that there are adjunct instructor opportunities that they might qualify and might be very well needed for. Can you tell us a little bit about adjunct instructors and their roles in their local community colleges?
Well, they're instrumental to our programs and to the education and training that the students receive. And the reason why is because they're probably working in the field during the day, and then they come, at night and provide that education and training that they got from the field. And then they pass that on to our students. And so they're a little bit more updated with what's going on. And so you can see that when our students come out of these programs, you've got industry, partners saying, hey, we like the training that they receive, but it's because of our adjunct instructors, along with our, full-time instructors too, but they are instrumental to our programs.
I know many full-time instructors begin as adjunct instructors. And so for like a technician that might be aging in the industry a little bit, that's looking for that next step in life about becoming a potential instructor in the future, if I'm not obvious enough, that was my direction in the industry. I'd spent a couple decades as a technician. I was looking for other ways to give back to the industry, and so I was contacted by a recruiter that was looking for an instructor, and it was at the wholesale level, but it was very much about giving back to the industry in a different way and preparing myself for a next stage in my career. I wasn't getting out of the field, I was giving the field back to the next
Yeah.
generation. Passing that baton, I've heard Jeff mention this so many times in the past. I'm just passing the baton of knowledge along to that next generation of
Yeah.
technicians.
Yeah,
Absolutely, but
it's the
you've
future.
got to be able to do that with the students, because if you've run into things in the field that mistakes that you've made and things to look out for, that's a valuable knowledge to those students. That's not in the textbook anywhere
No.
for you to pass along the real life experiences to those students. So that's a huge thing to have those adjunct professors who become full-time educators. They can pass knowledge around that is not in any textbook that I have ever seen.
Yeah.
And Clifton, you talking about moving on? Yeah, myself and hot addicts are no longer have a cohesive relationship with each other.
I had to run some wiring through my son's attic. He just bought a house earlier this year, and I said, "This winter, we'll mess with this winter." He's like, "What's the matter?" I'm like, "You'll see one day."
Absolutely.
Well, Jeff, we have AC over here, Jeff. So
Oh, I know.
you're
I
always
know.
welcome in Texas.
I know. Texas and Florida are two pretty much recession-proof industries in the air conditioning. And I know you've got quite a bit of equipment over there too, Cruz, and I'd really want to give a shout out. You talk about how this industry can change your life and the direction of how you go in the industry. Randy Williams comes to mind. He's one of the head instructor over there for Lone Star.
Amazing
The fact
story.
that 20 years ago, he was working on a manufacturing line for Goodman manufacturing AC coils. And now he was standing with us on the mezzanine watching other people manufacture coils 20 years later.
I was
He
that
doesn't
guy.
have to do that. That's a phenomenal story of how your life can change in this industry.
Absolutely. He just sent me a message about that last week. And so I plan on contacting and doing a podcast on it because that's exactly what this industry is.
Absolutely.
There's so many different things that you can give back and contribute to this industry. Now, let's just say that I'm a technician and I'm getting a little bit of age and I'm thinking that I really might want to be interested in talking to my local school about an adjunct position. How would I actually start that process, Cruz?
I mean, they can reach out to their colleges in the area. So we do postings, we do adjunct fairs, but we also get phone calls or emails for people that are interested to give back or,
Sure.
wanted to do, want to be part of what we're doing here. And so we do the same thing. We have them come in, we have them look at the facilities. We want to make sure that it's a good fit for our students and it's a good fit for them. One of the
Sure.
things I always suggest is, just coming in and maybe mentoring students, because then that gives you an idea. Ooh, is this something I really want to do? But I feel that if they're already in the field and they have to train other coworkers or employees, they're going to be able to do the same thing with students. But I think it goes back to what you said. It's that giving back and that reward.
Yeah.
It that really makes an impact on the instructors that we have here, because they know that they're training the
That's
future
exactly,
workforce. Yeah, the future of our HVAC industry.
it's exactly what it is. And it's just starting a whole new career opportunity for them themselves. And if a lot of technicians, when they're considering that transition, it's very scary. Because then you have to start picking up new tools. Like you've gotten used to all these tools that that you love and you enjoy, and you've got your brands that you like, and then all of a sudden you got to pick up new tools like PowerPoint presentations and Excel and and doing paperwork and grading tests. And so there are some, I wouldn't say challenges, there are just different tools that need to be picked up along the way. And so for those that have had that as a concern in the past, you'd also mentioned that there are mentorship programs for instructors as
Mhm.
well, so
Yes.
that we're actually grooming in that conversation. I thought that was very intriguing. Can you tell us a little bit more about that? Like if I'm okay, I've listened to the show, and I'm starting to think, man, maybe this is interesting, that it's time to start talking to my local school, but is anyone going to help me along the way?
Yes, of course. We've got faculty that'll help you. We've got professional development opportunities as well. And then, these labs are open. They're open for you to learn. When the students aren't here, if you need to brush up on your skills, we've got those opportunities. But yes, we do provide a lot of support. I've been in the college setting for, 20 plus years. And so I help our own faculty if they need help with writing curriculum or simple PowerPoints. I can help you with that. And so I'm sure there will be people at other colleges that will do the same. So they will have that support and that guidance, just the same way we want to provide that support and guidance to the students that we're training.
Exactly. Jeff, you had mentioned about curriculum for the educators as well. I'm an educator, and I'm starting to wonder about this. I'm starting to wonder about, what am I going to be teaching on? Daikin, one of the things that you do for instructors are actually train the trainer classes, where
Mhm.
you're taking educators and you're turning them into an even better educator along that process. Can you tell us a little bit more about those type of opportunities in our industry?
Well, with the train the trainer class that we do is helping them practice and get better at their soft skills on how to
Communication.
engage the students. Because a lot of times, if you've got a technician that's wanting to become an instructor and get out of the field, he has never stood up in front of a class for the most part. I mean, he talks to his customers, but to be able to engage his students and be able to speak the generational languages that crosses from the age difference to the younger generation, those are the kind of things we help them out with. Being able to not only put together the curriculum, but make sure the students stay engaged, get them into the hands-on demonstration. So just it's not being an educator is not just about standing in front of the class and talking at them. You have to talk to them, and you need to involve them in the curriculum and in the training, and then they'll learn better.
Especially as we start witnessing more of a multi-generational technician
Oh,
climate, right?
absolutely.
We have
Absolutely.
we have a lot of technicians that have come from other fields that are now coming back into our industry, re-looking at our industry from exactly what you're talking about earlier, Dr. Cassiano, is that this is such a secure career opportunity when people witness it from another sector. Say if they've been in computer IT and they know hand tools and they know voltage, but they don't know HVAC, and they go, what's going on over there? Because they seem awfully busy over there, and I don't see people losing their jobs over there, and I need to take a look at this. Can we talk a little bit about reintroducing experienced technicians into the workforce?
Well, briefly, I'll share that as my son was going through the program, I was learning some of the concepts myself. So if I can learn it, anybody can learn it. And I told him, you got to be careful. I can't learn too much because then they'll have me become an
Yeah,
instructor and
exactly.
teach some of the classes. But it goes back to what we've mentioned earlier, that we have these opportunities for professional development, but we also have opportunities for them to use our lab. We work with a lot of different industry partners that want to utilize our labs, and they actually want to train their own employees to
Oh, yeah.
upskill them
Mhm.
using our labs. And so you have those opportunities to, learn the new skills, because as we know, the industry is going to keep evolving. Technology is going to keep advancing, and processes, there will always be new processes in place. And so the way you're going to improve, whether it's the industry, a process, technology, or even yourself, is by getting that training that you need as well.
You mentioned that with the contractors using the facilities. I want to go back to one slide because I had a key point that I wanted to talk about that a lot of contractors don't actually realize as a benefit with working with your local HVAC program. So let's take for an example a new technology that's coming to the industry. Jeff, a lot of new technologies come to the industry. That's really what you're doing, is focusing on bringing new technologies to the programs.
Absolutely. The fact is that our new commercial equipment and even a lot of our residential, you can access it through the cloud and diagnose it from your office to help your consumer out with the equipment. That was unheard of even 20 years ago. The fact that the wireless, gauges and the digital gauges and all that stuff, the digital equipment that's come out, the analog has gone away. So you have to have a whole new skill set to work on this new equipment that's coming out.
So if I'm a local contractor and I'm looking for a benefit of working with my local program, hey, glad you're joining us today. Grateful to have you here. One thing that gets overlooked a lot by contractors that are looking at new technologies is, where do I go to learn about this? Do I have to go to the factory? Yeah, that's a great way to do it. But if I have a factory, if I have a manufacturer that is working with a vocational program, say like the connection that we have between Daikin and LoneStar, and I'm a contractor and I'm wanting to start installing and selling a new piece of equipment, what better way to work on that than to go to an actual lab in your community that has the equipment and has some of the training resources already? I can't imagine a better opportunity for a contractor than to work with your school on the equipment that you're planning on marketing, especially with the changes that we have in technology.
You're missing a golden opportunity if you're not doing that.
I believe so. When we think about the cost of creating our own programs, I hear a lot of contractors. We've had a lot of contractors come to our own national HVACR education conference over the last couple of years going, I think I'm going to start my own training program in-house because there's a lot of this new technology and no one has it. And so I'm going to have to put it in one of our classrooms, maybe in the warehouse, and I'm going to start teaching my technicians about it, versus going to their local program going, hey, would you be interested in bringing in one of these pieces of equipment? Because I've got a bunch of technicians that would be interested in some training opportunities along
That's
the way.
worth the investment there, Clifton, because we've got one contractor that's building a lab in Calgary, Alberta.
Yeah.
And to ship people from there down to Houston is quite costly. So to be able to invest the resources to be able to do it in a local area and go through our training and become an authorized Daikin training facility, that's a lot of them are starting to do that, especially the larger ones, because they've got so many techs and they can do it, a couple hours in the morning, so they don't have to spend, 3 8-hour days to go to training.
That's exactly right. I've got two comments that came through that I want to bring up right now. So these are very important things for the community because I've seen some new names that I've not seen here before. We're so glad that you're here with us. Every Thursday, we bring top educators and professionals from the industry to help show you how amazing this industry is and where the resources are for you. So I hope I don't mess this up. D'Avion, you also said something else on the next one, right? That is an actual lab right there beyond Dr. Cassiano.
It's the future.
Tell us a little bit more about the lab area that you are actually broadcasting from today, which is just fantastic. I'm grateful.
Yes, it's the building automation system. So it is the future of HVAC. And I chose this lab because anytime anybody comes back here, they're smiling and their jaws drop because you've $1 million equipment here, of course, donated by industry partners.
Right.
But it's going to help with the future of HVAC when you're looking at energy efficiency and everything that entails. And so to find, you're looking at industry partners that now want students to be trained in this field. So that's going back to adjunct instructors and why coming from the field and being able to have that knowledge and skills with the equipment and then being able to help our students by, sharing that knowledge and sharing those skills. Now we're getting them ready for the field with the skills that they need, not yesterday's skills. They need to know tomorrow's and the day after tomorrow's skills.
That's exactly right. Many people don't understand the progress that we are making in our industry. And for every one of you that are joining us today, you're a part of this progress, a part of understanding that we are going through changes. HVAC is becoming very mainstream. If we start looking at programs, we look at the technology that is in Cruz's facility. That was just one of many different labs that are all state-of-the-art technologies. We're starting to see programs in high schools. This is actually one of my local high schools, Pike High School here in Indianapolis, that has a fully established high school HVAC program that works with their local community college so that the students coming from high school are taking those skills directly into their community college and advancing those. And many of those technicians will end up going into the engineering aspect of it. So this is why we're having these conversations, is not everyone realizes that these opportunities are out there. These partnerships are out there. And
a lot of them call it dual enrollment. Cliff, go to the high school for the first part of the day and then go to the trade school in the afternoon. But we've got a number of high schools as well that are now putting in labs. And I know we've already partnered with a few of them around Houston to be able to put some equipment in there for some hands-on training with the high school students. And
really?
They absolutely love it.
Sure.
Right. So, but the dual enrollment is one of the bigger things where they do, and they get part of their curriculum is going to the trade school to help towards their high school diploma.
Exactly.
Yes. And to go along with what Jeff is sharing, yes, it's the dual credit, dual enrollment. We do have one of the high schools that has HVAC dual credit.
Really?
And so they're already starting to earn one of their level 1 certifications. Mm-hmm. So they're, a semester or a step ahead of some of the students that come in here. But then we also have students that, like Jeff mentioned, they go to the high school during the day, but they are in our night classes.
Oh, wow, sure.
They want to hurry up and get into the field. And so they might be seniors, and then they're taking the night classes to get, that jump start into their career pathway.
Oh my goodness.
We've got a couple, Clifton, who we're partnered with that they're starting it is for the 4 years of high school. So the student actually could come in and start in the HVAC program in the 9th grade. Yes. And go all the way through his senior year. So can you imagine what kind of technician he would be if we got him for 4 years?
Yeah.
And that's a mandate here in Texas. They need to choose by 8th grade, then they start their pathway from 9th grade all the way to 12th grade.
Really?
Yep. Mm-hmm. We're getting more involved in that too. So.
Oh, that is fantastic. It actually goes hand in hand with the next couple of slides that I put together that I didn't even realize that we're getting that serious with mandates. I got 2 in high school, and, I don't always hear. I hear some things that are happening. I don't always hear the most. So I
You're,
got to start
you're the
calling.
parent, dude. You're not going to talk to you.
Exactly. I want to start calling Cruz more often because I have witnessed other programs out here. So I don't know if Katie
Well,
Donahue is with us quite often on the show. She is with a college over in Missouri that actually has a program that's called From Tutus to Tool Belts, where they're taking
awesome.
fifth through eighth graders and bringing them into a functional lab. And we have fifth to eighth grade girls that are doing brazing and evacuation and sheet metal bending as an introductory into the trades. So if you don't think our industry is becoming mainstream, just think that we're putting torches in the hands of fifth to eighth grade girls, and you can see from the faces the
That's awesome, dude.
treat it absolutely is. And so this is our industry. It's a very exciting time to be in HVAC and refrigeration. We could take it one step forward and even start looking at books that have came out in the last year that are catered towards very young minds to start understanding some of the principles of the world that they live in, including things like heating, cooling, temperature, and the trades. So it is a very evolving landscape for our industry that I hope you are all extremely proud to be a part of. I know I am.
Absolutely.
Yes. And that's where awareness is important.
It is.
You, and so starting in middle school, starting in elementary, giving them those opportunities so they know that there's they're needed in this HVAC industry.
Yeah, I've had just recently, because of the show and having other professionals here on the show talking about careers and the vastness of opportunities within the industry, technicians that have came and sent messages going, I never realized our industry was this big, and I've never thought about that myself, and are now rethinking their careers as adults going, what else can I do? And I'm here to tell you, you can do anything you want. You can work
Absolutely.
on cruise ships. You can work on military facilities. You can work on any type of equipment you can imagine because our world revolves around heating, cooling, and refrigeration. When we think about just the foods, the products that we consume daily, if it wasn't for refrigeration, we wouldn't have the luxury of eating most of the foods that we enjoy and assume are a common commodity. They're not.
Clifton, look at that last comment that came in. We need to answer that.
Okay. Then you're going what the yes, yes, we are. This is a good point. So let's do. I should have done this at the beginning. Dr. Casiano, can you tell us a little bit about your involvement in the HVAC and refrigeration industry?
Okay. Yes, I'm the director of career applied technology here for LoneStar College North Harris. I oversee 7 programs: automotive, construction, electrical, HVAC, machining, diesel, and robotics are some of the programs that I help students with. I have about 20 years in workforce development. I started back when it used to be vocational.
Yeah.
So my background, it goes into child development, teacher ed, hospitality, human services, and that aspect, consumer science. And so it's evolved. But my background, I have helped students actually get into all the colleges here at Houston. I help them with recruitment as far as the high schools. And so that's why I'm very familiar with that process, coming back from being a high school educator myself. And so I would help students get into LoneStar College, get into one of these workforce programs. And I had a philanthropist who actually paid for each one of these students their tuition, textbooks, and anything that they needed to be successful in these programs, because he believed that they needed that this was a good career pathway. And at the time, the perception was 4-year. And now, as you see, we've got that labor gap and that skills gap. And right now, HVAC is one of the best industries to be in.
Yeah. I mean, if you heard all of those trades that were mentioned a while ago, and our own son is actually in our trade. So it says a lot about where the industry has came over the last couple decades and the stigmas that have been overcame. Very proud of the efforts that we have done as an industry to realize that this is a very vast industry and we are more accepting now than we ever have in the past. And I love it because now we're starting to see our industry grow as a community, as a very accepting, diverse community. And I'm very proud to be in our industry.
Oh yeah, me as well, Clifton.
Absolutely.
Yes, I love it. I wouldn't see myself anywhere else.
I wouldn't either. That's right.
But,
Froggy,
know,
right. It is the coolest trade.
Dr. Cruz can't, divulge how much she knows about HVAC because Randy may put her to work.
And that is so true.
No, I can't. I can't. But you can just imagine all the tools and supplies and everything I needed to be in charge of purchasing for every student. And I needed to make sure that the students not only started our program, we want to make sure that they finish our program.
Absolutely,
So they're faced with
absolutely.
several barriers. And so that's one of the key components of what I do here is that I make sure that the students come and study HVAC, but not only start, but they're going to finish, and we're going to get them with and like you mentioned, Jeff, or Clifton, my son studied HVAC and now he's cross training in the electrical field and HVAC at the airport.
Absolutely.
Who would have thought?
That's awesome.
Yeah, they just go hand in hand, and there's so many of those opportunities. And for those of you, those instructors that have 2-year programs, and you look at your program and go, okay, what are some of these next steps that a college can do? You've actually already done that at your own college. So not only do you have 2-year programs, we also have associate programs. Can you tell us a little bit about that direction within our industry that is capable of being achieved at Lone Star?
Yes. So we've got our occupational certificate. Each semester, they're gaining a certificate and they're gaining skills and knowledge.
Okay.
Then they've got their level 1 certificate and their level 2 certificate. Once they finish those 3 semesters, they only have about 4 classes to get their associates. And then that's where I come in to really encourage them, because if they've gone this far, 4 more classes opens up more career opportunities, but also kind of boost their salary. And who doesn't want to boost there? And so, and that might be your English, your math, or like a sociology course. But then we also have a wonderful opportunity that not all community colleges have, but we have a bachelor's in energy, manufacturing, and trades management.
That's fantastic.
And so this is where students might, well, I have a business management degree. No, this is energy, manufacturing, and trades. You're in this field, now you have a way to move up. There's upward mobility. So you don't always have to stay as a technician. There's different ways or different career pathways in the field that you can be exposed to once you finish. And then we have it in person and we have it online, because we know that our students are going to be working in the field.
Absolutely.
So it works with their schedule.
Wow.
That flexibility, Dr. Cruz, is huge for the guys out there.
Yes, absolutely it is. So I encourage all of you to make some connections to learn more. If you're a school and you're wanting to find out more about what's happening at Lone Star, I got to witness myself. I came over as an almost impromptu visit to Lone Star, and there's another school director there going, I'm here wanting to see what's going on at Lone Star. I thought that was amazing that another school was there to see how the program is developed and that you're sharing with other schools how to be successful in these ventures. That's an amazing
and we have to mention, we are HVAC excellence, so we're nationally accredited. So one of 3 in the state of Texas. So yes, that's why we do. And we're happy to help other colleges, because it's about helping other students, helping other communities.
Yeah. Avion, we're glad you were here today.
Absolutely.
Thanks for joining us. That's awesome.
Mom has hamburgers ready.
Exactly. We hope you enjoyed it. I hope you were continue to explore this industry, realizing that there's so many things to do. Yeah, I've got a quick link there into the chat so you can go take a look at Lone Star video that I did when I was there going through the program. You're going to see some amazing things there. We'll have videos from when we're over at Daikin going through all of the different aspects of the Daikin training facility. And if you don't know how exciting this industry is, you haven't been in the right place. And so we encourage you to keep coming back and learning more every week about ways that you can be more
Yes.
involved
And
in.
thank you, Jeff, for having us, because it gave me a glimpse of the behind the scenes of what's going on.
It was my honor to have all of you guys there, and I look forward to being able to host some field trips from your school for some of your students. We'll get it set up with Chad to do some tours up there like we did.
All right.
Well,
We'll be
fantastic.
looking forward to it.
Well, thank you both for joining us. We're so grateful that you all took your time to hang out with us today. Definitely follow through. I'll post links to be able to make contacts with Daikin, with Jeff at Daikin, and with Dr. I heard you call Dr. Cruz a while ago. I kind of like the sound of it. Anybody call you Dr. Cruz? Or is that
Everybody calls me Dr. Cruz, so that's
I really like the ring of Dr. Cruz.
Yeah.
I'll put links of how to connect with both programs and the resources that will be there for you. And we also encourage you to come join us. It's going to be a very exciting year at the National HVACR Education Conference.
Absolutely.
It's going to be a big year, and we're going to have manufacturers, we're going to have distributors, we're going to have contractors, we're going to have technicians, trades associations. There's going to be so many things happening, and we want you to be there with us. So scan that QR, go find out more about the conference, and we'll see you all there. If anyone has any last minute questions from the audience, please throw them in the chats. Otherwise, I really appreciate you two joining us today. This is fun.
Hey, it's awesome. Thank you for the invite, man. You know me, I'm always interested in helping further the industry with you, Clifton.
It's really what we're doing. We're just ringing the bell.
That's it, man.
Together. Everyone have a wonderful week, and we'll see you all again next week on Did You Know? The ESCO HVAC show. We'll be broadcasting live from the studio up at our offices in Chicago, and we will see you all then. Have a good evening.
Thank you.